After a few quite testing months in 2025, we finally come to a period of blessing, of ease and harmony. May 2025, I have good news for you. We went through Mars, Venus, Mercury retrograde, 2 eclipses, Saturn, Venus conjunctions, very intense influences in the last 3-4 months. But now we're gonna take a breath of fresh air and relief. As you can see, most of the transits and aspects between planets in May are harmonious, trines, sextiles. There are here and there a square, but it's very minimal compared to what we've been going through. We're like a soldier coming out of a battle. And we'll be in the month of May, we'll be recovering, recuperating, improving. Things will start looking up. We're out of the hardest period of 2025. So with this good news, we're gonna have a full moon in Scorpio with opposition with Uranus around the 12th of May, which might be a bit more excitable, unpredictable, intense, like the energy of Scorpio, but pretty much everything around it is fantastic. But the biggest event in May is that towards the end, on the 25th of May, Saturn is moving to Aries for the first time since 29 years, the 1995, 6, something like that it was then. In Aries again, and it will stay there for 3 months this year, and then 26 and 27, the whole 2 years it will be in Aries. So this video will focus on how Saturn, the bad big wolf of astrology, how you can tame it, how you can turn it into a loyal dog that will guard your back and to thrive through this period. So stay with me to see how Saturn will affect you. Actually, if you want to really dive into Saturn in Aries, I've created a 3-hour video plus around 40 pages PDF that covers absolutely every possible influence of Saturn in Aries. Say if you have Venus in Gemini, Saturn will try sextile it, or if you have Libra, Jupiter, Saturn will oppose it, or if you have Cancer, Moon, Saturn will square it. What are the influences on a personal level with many real life stories and remedies and how to overcome it and how to do the best out of it. Just $12. Check it out. I always try to be as affordable as possible. But now let's begin. I'm excited. Capricorn Sun, Moon, Rising, May 2025. Capricorn, the Sun is already in May in Taurus, in your 5th house of life force. So you would feel an infusion of life force, infusion of inspiration, of new ideas. 5th house rules our original creative ideas, our zest for life as well. And health-wise as well, it can be improvement, considerable improvements of your life force, of your energy, of having fun as well, of enjoying yourself in some way. Venus, the whole month, will be in your 4th house of home and family. And before that, it was retrograde there in the previous couple of months. So if there is any complications, delays, problems with your home or family or loved ones, everything will be straightened out and will improve. You can receive support from loved ones, enjoying moments, being a host at home, improving the environment, buying beautiful furniture, making your garden more resplendent, just things around the home and home energy and environment this month are healing, are positive. You feel like a safe haven and just emotionally more satisfying. The 4th house is the house where we feel content, where we tend to our needs and emotions, and you would definitely put a lot more healing and pleasurable experiences there through loved ones, maybe connecting with loved ones, maybe receiving more support from loved ones, doing something around your home and house. Mars is, sorry, I'm a little bit sick. Oh, yes, there is a full moon, Capricorn, in your 11th house on the 12th of May in Scorpio. Some secrets regarding people in your life. 11th house is social house. It can connect to friends, to colleagues, to people that you are in contact with online or even clients, some information can come to the surface. So something can be illuminated. The light of the full moon can illuminate that area of your life. Maybe you can be a bit more social the middle of the month. Maybe you can have some fulfilling emotional interactions with like-minded people, join some groups, or something good can come to you because the full moon is a benefic influence in ancient astrology. It gives fruition, it gives rewards, and the 11th house is the house of rewards. So if you've been working on some project, long-term project or goal, you can go to the next step. You can have completion or see results of such projects. If you've been working towards more gains or income, which is the 11th house as well, there can be some important movement there in that direction in the month of May. But yeah, socially, definitely social, you can be more social. And as I said, this fifth house of having fun is also emphasized. There can be some decision whether to follow your goals or to have more fun, but or something to do with friends and romantic relationships as well. That is emphasized, but these are not negative influences. These are just activating those topics. And the biggest event that is happening this month is that Saturn is moving from your third house, where it's been for the last 2.5 years, from the year 2023, so the last 2 years, into your fourth house. And it's going to stay there from 25th of May till the 1st of September, then comes back to your third house again to complete some things there, and then moves fully into your fourth house from 2026, and the whole 2026, the whole 2027, and part of 2028. So bookmark this video. There is a timestamp when I start talking about Saturn in your fourth house, so you can reference it in the future, in over the next 2.5-3 years when Saturn will be there, to know how things are unfolding, if you're going in the right direction, what are remedies for that, if you're aligned with the cosmic clock, so to speak. So what can you expect with Saturn from Aries? Saturn in Aries. Saturn will square Capricorn. Only the very early born Capricorns will feel it this year. So if you're born like right on the 22nd, 23rd of January, of December, the very early born Capricorns, or those who have the ascendant or moon in the first 3-4 degrees of Capricorn, they would feel it. For more reference, how it affects specifically the sun, the moon, or your Venus, if you have there in Capricorn, check out my video of Saturn in Aries. It's 3 hours long. It's only $12. I'm putting a link below. I speak about every possible aspect Saturn can do in your horoscope, and I show you how to find out what aspects are you gonna having, because you might be Capricorn, but you might have your Venus in Aquarius, so Saturn will sextile it, much nicer for relationships and money. Or you might have planets in Sagittarius and Saturn will trine them, much nicer for that whatever that planet rules in your life. But for Capricorn, Saturn is a bit challenging when it squares. So the sun, moon, or ascendant. And it's an opening square. It means that 7 years ago, Saturn, around 7 to 6 years ago, or 5 almost, Saturn was in your sign. It started a new cycle over your sun, moon, or ascendant, and now it's going to square it. And that's like the turning of the wheel. But the wheel is square, so it's kind of bit bumpy, but it's a readjustment period. And it's where it's growing. Things are growing. They've been growing. Some new things been happening over the 6-7 years before, and now they need to a correction, an audit, to see what you can do a bit better, what is wasting your time, what is taking from your time and energy and resources, and to direct them into the right channels. And it's a little bit of a painful process because you need to be like an auditor. You need to go and see what is not doing right or is not going well. And you'll be shown that even if you're not going to look at it. If something is getting blocked, if something is getting stuck, if new rules appear, you just need to slowly untangle it, slow. And Saturn requires you to follow the rules. Don't try to when Saturn aspects Sun, Moon, or Ascendant, don't try to scheme, to plot, to try to do shortcuts. No, Saturn requires that you go through, sorry, that you go through the lawful process. So you might have to deal with a bit more of bureaucracy, with a bit more rules than normal when Saturn is squaring you. But slowly by slowly, you have 2.5, 3 years to go through that and not rush through it, so you can have a much more stable foundation, because it will continue to grow after that. Whatever seeds you planted in the last 6-7 years, they have another 7 years to grow, to develop. Now it's just a little bit of a readjustment period for a year or two, depending on what degree in Capricorn your planets are. But you are very familiar with Saturn. You are Saturn ruled, and you know how to do the right thing. Saturn rules laws, rules, whether they're spiritual, moral, or human roles, and governmental laws and rules. You know how to do it. You carry that Capricorn energy. So if anyone deals great with Saturn transits, this is you, Capricorn. And so some adjustments, seeing what, kind of what works, what doesn't work, how can I make it more productive. Remember good words for Saturn: to make more effective, to streamline, to automate, so you don't have to work like crazy, but the processes are automated. Streamline, make more elegant, audit. And you feel this pressure, because Saturn is pressure, especially to act in matters of the fourth house differently or correct something there. This is your home. And that's, as I said, you'll feel it more June, July, August, and then 2026, 2027. So pressure maybe to change something in your personal life. Fourth house is personal life. I've seen when Saturn transit fourth house, people can relocate. Sometimes because of work, sometimes because of other pressure to change place of living, sometimes to downsize even, and that, no, it's not a bad thing. I remember someone says, my kids just left home, me and my husband, this big house, Saturn was transiting a fourth house, and they downsized from a bigger house to a flat complex that was with cleaning as well and so on. So there can be some very positive developments there as well. It doesn't mean it's negative that your house will be broken and you can't find a home, or you feel unhappy in your home. Sometimes it's about downsizing. And Saturn is also building. You might be building something, doing some renovations in your home. Saturn wants to repair something old to make it more functional, more effective, more elegant, So that can be that you're fixing something at home sometime in the next 2-3 years, building something, starting to build a house as well, why not? Which requires efforts and hard work and focus of attention, but it's okay, because the final result can be fantastic. That's, you might decide to take up gardening, efforts in your garden, to change it, to make it look different, nice, Or fourth house, I remember that I knew someone who got divorced when Saturn was in the fourth house, big change in his personal life with family, and he sold their property. It stayed to him to sell the property. And well, that sounds scary, but sometimes it's kind of because fourth house is one of the pillars of the horoscope. You see, these are the pillars that hold like the backbone of the horoscope. So some important things in your personal life. And sometimes I've seen people settle down with Saturn. But when this person, Saturn was in his fourth house, so there was someone stole his car, because fourth house is also cars, and he had to sell the property, but he moved to a smaller one and actually met his future wife during that time, and they started a family during that time as well. Because Saturn is not just, you're home, you'll be punished in your personal life. Not at all. Not if it's a good relationship. You can just take further commitments, like become parents with Saturn in the fourth house, because this is to commit to more responsibilities in your family life. So coming over, my husband had Saturn in the fourth house when he had 2 children. So that was for him, Saturn in the fourth house, taking care, family responsibilities, duties, becoming a parent, responsible, settling down as well, commitment of some sort of parenthood. And sometimes the responsibility for parenthood with Saturn in the fourth house quite demanding, but there is a good reason for that. Nothing to complain about. It's just adjustment period. Sometimes I've seen Saturn in the fourth house as someone needs to take care of elderly family members. But if it comes to that, this is, they've given us life, they've taken care of us. We need to return back, to maybe help them. Sometimes the parents you become aware of the parents struggling with some travel when Saturn is in the fourth house. Not always. It wasn't like that for my husband. It played out through him being a parent. But sometimes, in some rare occasions, it can be this energy, which is nothing bad. We need to help our extended family, our family members. But sometimes it's also cutting off family members. If there is a toxic energy, if sometimes there's a person leaving the nest of birth and going away to live somewhere, because Saturn is detachment, to detach from the place where you've always lived and move somewhere else, or to detach from the ancestral patterns. There can be a period of deep analyzing for 2-3 years about the patterns that keep repeating in your life, that your parents say everyone gets divorced in your family, or poverty, or whatever. And for you to detach from these patterns, to correct them. It's not a pleasant process to go through this, but it's a liberating process eventually, that you're not repeating the same mistakes as your ancestors and parents. And sometimes it's truly about cutting off. Some people have toxic parents. You should always respect them and forgive them in your heart, but sometimes it's better to put a distance between you and some family members. Saturn can do that. And sometimes it's about doing a project together with a family, like a family business. It can play out in many different ways. I even remember another friend, Saturn transiting through the fourth house. Fourth house rules the breast and the stomach area. She removed implants. Saturn downsized, removing implants. There's so many fun ways it can play out rather than like family difficulties and so on. And if you're someone who is in real estate, it can mean just more work for you, developing some real estate, more responsibilities there. If you're in catering, if you have hotels or Airbnbs, this is good business because Saturn is work, fourth house is real estate, property. So that can be good for people that are in real estate and property, doing some important decisions there. Emotionally can be a little bit tougher. Now you see the fourth house is the house where, the house of our emotional needs, contentment. You have to put some boundaries there. If you always neglect your emotional needs over others, Saturn in the fourth house will really make you reconsider, will really make you take stock and decide, okay, these are my boundaries with family. Maybe if you're the donkey of the family always, but it doesn't mean if there is some responsibility, you should neglect it. No, Saturn asks you to take care of the responsibilities there, but at the same time, put some boundaries and some rules. Maybe you become a more strict parent. You put rules in your home, how kids should be, who takes what responsibilities. You outsource some of your family responsibilities as well, some domestic responsibility. Saturn is good at managing it. You do this, I do this. Some rules. Set some rules at home. That's it. Also do some constructual work at home. Sometimes some repairs might be needed at home. But also emotionally, it can sometimes feel a bit heavy because unprocessed traumas and pains, ancestral from early childhood, from your parents, can come to the surface, to be talked about, to be acted about, to be released. And when Aries, how do you release the traumas in your fourth house when Aries is there in Saturn? maybe through movement, emotions. Fourth house rules the emotions. There is motion, physical movement, workout, something. You can release traumas of childhood and so on through actions of some sort. Also, you can do some sacrifices, so deny some things to yourself that you usually do in the name of your family, in the name of stability. I've seen also people take on mortgages and real estate. It's a burden, but it's a good thing as well to take on this. Or if they are done with this, Saturn might push you to, I want to complete paying off my house, for example, now. So do something important there, complete something important over the next 2-3 years in regards to home, property, family. And emotionally, it can be very insightful period working with a psychologist, your childhood traumas, slowly, gradually, to help you detach from them and reframe them in your mind, because you cannot change them. You can just reframe them, how you feel about those things, because the fourth house is the store of all the feelings for us. And yeah, Saturn day is slow work, detachment that you receive, and healing those traumas gradually, slowly, but it activates those traumas to come to the surface. So initially might not be as easy emotionally, but whether you work with a psychologist or on your own, through that you can reframe them in your head and release them and be free, ending with some, let's say, family karmas, family patterns. So thank you so much, Capricorn. Interesting, the energy is much lighter, don't worry. And yeah, a lot, you can have this video to refer to it in the future.